another Ducati Monster episode. This one's been fairly long, I know. It's been a few weeks since the last video, and I'm actually recording the intro now that I've finished the tank, so you'll see what we've been doing. But basically, today's video is about shaping the tank out of clay. Now that we've built the rough kind of structure out of foam, and the reason for doing that is to obviously save on clay, because clay is rather expensive and foam is a lot cheaper by volume. So that bulks out the rough shape, and it's quite easy to shape or anything like that. And now that that's done, today's episode is all about cladding that in clay and then getting the final shapes done and getting the straight edges and everything like that. So what I am going to do with this is get a rough shape done. Tank first, then I'll do the cowl. I'm yet to start the cowl, so I'll be starting the cowl today. So once the cowl is done, I'm going to finally refine everything, smooth everything, get it absolutely perfectly smooth afterwards. So without further ado, here is me sticking God knows how many strips of clay onto a tank. So here, it's a little bit like we left it. What I have done since is actually shaved a bit more than I had originally, and because I need room for the clay, and the tank will put up quite neatly against this bar here. So there's going to be a few mils worth of clay around here. Just taking a little bit extra off the seat. What I do need to do now, I have noticed I need to take a bit more of that side down there. It's just not quite level. I'm having to do it by eye. But what I do really want to do is fill up this gap here. Just going to use a little bit of expanding foam here. Obviously I'm not going to spray it into there because I'm just going to end up with chaos and expanding foam everywhere. Take the tank off, spray it, and then I can shave it all off again. So what started off as a bit of an unsuccessful expanding foam, it was pretty limp. It's an old can, so I wasn't expecting much out of it. It's actually properly bulked out. And the same with the top as well. Yeah, that's exactly what I wanted it to do. Fill it out. So I need to go ahead and lob that off now. In fact, I'm going to angle off the sides as well. Do that, use my saw, and I've got a bit of expanding foam on that. Not good, but sand it out, scoop the rest out, and then I can cover it with PVA glue. Now that I've coated it with PVA, there's still a little few wet patches here, just where it's thick. I've kind of scooped that out there. What I'll do is just simply go over it with a bit of heat and just get it to dry perfectly. But I've just tried a little test patch here, melting a bit of clay, sticking it on, and it sticks. So obviously the PVA now is giving it a good surface to stick to, and it works. That is stuck, that is not going anywhere. Perfect, let's carry on with the rest of it. And this is where I've got like a natural break. So most of the bike is covered in clay. I say most because I've been kind of changing my mind as I've been going on. You can start to see where it starts to become a single unit at the seat here. So that is going to go all the way smooth, no joins or anything like that. I have also put this line here because you may remember from a previous video when I was starting to
sketch everything out and sculpt everything out, that I did have some knee dents in here, and I'm going to reintroduce them as well. So that's just my line at the moment. I'll build it up from there. So that's the shortest I can probably go with the clay, is what this is here. Obviously we're going to smooth it out. So I'll build up out on top of that. Not much, probably maybe a tiny fraction of a bit thicker than that. But that's just my line I'm going to take it to. I have also put this tab in there, an extra bit of foam. I did have it shaping around the key barrel there. Because it's going to be a split mould, split's going to go right down the middle there. That's the easiest way I can do it. But any indents that go in or down that way I can't do, because obviously then I can't take the mould apart. So I need to make that into one piece. And also on the back there, I have actually shaped down. You can see what I'm starting to do. Just angle it in a little bit. It's not going to be as angled as that. I've probably taken off too much there, more than I need to, but I can start building it back up with clay. But just to get the top looking less flat, I wanted to try and bring in a bit of shape. Shape's going to replicate this tank, so this tank's going to have a nice little angle going on it, and this is going to have the same tapering back there. So that's it. Next step now is to start building it up with clay. Smooth this bit here. So these sections here, the back of the seat pan itself, and then this section there, it's all going to be pretty much thin on clay. So I'm going to start smoothing that now and then build the top up. Going to take you over where I am at the moment. I've been trying a bit of spray paint at the back here to see how spray paint takes to the clay, only because it's easier to see the contour. I know this is just rough, but it's easy to see the contours. We have at the moment a straight line going there, a little bit of investigation work. I just want to see how far deep that wants to go down there, so I just need to patch that up. But we have got a fairly neat and straight line going down there, coming down at the bottom, meeting down there. Obviously needs work doing at the front here, but I am kind of playing around with this top bit at the moment. So one of the things I'm going to be doing is a 3D printed decorative part just going down here, and I want it on a little bit of a plinth. So I've just started moulding this now. I will get this flat. That's where the fuel cap's going to go. I've just drawn that on there, so that's going to be round and taking it flush. But what I need to do now is to get this level, and I might even take that down sort of 3 mil, so it's just not as high, and then raise these edges so it's the same height as that. So essentially the top of the tank isn't going to be flat, it's going to be raised a little bit more. It just needs it just to get it less flat, obviously. Just a bit of a pause at the moment. So what I have done is I've just put a straight line over. I have done everything kind of by eye, but just to double check, obviously need everything to be symmetrical. So I've put this line through here and it is. So by eye, I've actually managed to get it pretty symmetrical. Put these little lines in here so I know exactly where the creases are for the knee dents. So that needs to be replicated on the other side. The tank fuel cap, bang on in the center there. So what I have done is, as you can see down here, that was the original height of the tank. So I have lifted it up, and this is another kind of technique I'm doing, is I've made a quick template just using sticky tape, because obviously I can manipulate around the edges, just made a quick template of one side, flip it over, and at least I can see the measurements and see how it all sits on the other side there. So that is what I'm going to be doing now. So I sacked off that black tape, that was not doing any good, that was warping. Used a bit of duct tape instead, and that's a lot better because obviously it's a lot more rigid and a lot more pliable. So what I've done here is split up two parts. I mean, I could have done it in paper, yes, but the beauty about using tape is that I could just use little bits just to go around the corner and shape it rather than cut it out. This is now a complete mirror image of that flipped over on here. Now I can see exactly what I need to do. I need to bring that line up there. I've started moulding that down there, so that line needs to come a bit closer in there. The biggest change that I need to see here is where the tank goes down here, so that needs to be a lot flatter coming down there. And then I need to take that in and bring that out. That'll give me the shape that I need then. And so here it is, let me talk you through it. There are rough patches here and there, but this is a good enough stage to start off with. So just to say, what I'm thinking of doing is actually doing it in two steps, doing 2 split moulds and 2 tanks. Only reason being because clay is such a soft material. Still is soft, even though it's about 1 degree in here now. It's still soft. And when I come to put the split mould straight down through the middle there, it's probably going to dent and all sorts. So what I am thinking is, first, I mean, I need a prototype anyway. It's creating a split mould out of what's here, out of the clay, then creating a fiberglass tank just as a prototype to see if it works. So I don't want to go straight into carbon fibre first. Then when I've got that fiberglass tank, put it back on here, see how it looks, and then obviously it's going to have blemishes and things. You can see here, there are slight waves here. Things like that line, although it's a straight edge, I can still see some waves. Now I'm going to make that better. Once I've got the cowl done, I will come back and look at that again, and you know, there's a little indent there that I can feel. Run my fingers over it. But by creating out of fiberglass as well, what I can do is then put some polyfiller on it, really go to town on it, sand it down, get it really nice and smooth, and that way it'll be an absolute solid plug for a second split mould for then the carbon fibre. And the idea is that if the first carbon fibre model goes wrong, so be it. I can just use the split mould again, make another one, or if I want to build another Ducati down the line and I like the shape of that tank and how it works, then I can obviously make another one after that. So I want to get that split mould as perfect as possible. And I don't think the clay is going to be as good as a proper solid plug covered with polyfiller and all sorts like that. It's obviously, you know, there it is, it's freezing in here,
but I can still bend it and things like that, and it's going to get blemishes and things. So that's my thinking. But let's take you through it. I've got a centre line down there, I've got another cross line up here, which you can see I've started sanding that down, or moulding that down I should say. The back here has been pointed ever so slightly, so I don't know if you remember on previous videos that actually went down quite vertical, and I think that looked too much. It looked like it was going backwards compared to where the seat is. So that has been brought out. Up here we have got a place for a fuel cap, so that circle around there, that is the template for the fuel cap. Then this line here, this line I'm actually quite pleased with. So I hadn't intended on bringing this line all the way around, but what it does do is it comes straight from the front, follows the back, and then goes down the side there. This knee dent in here, I'm so glad that a friend of mine told me to change the shape of it, because it was, in fact, that has gone a little bit. That does need to change a little bit. It's a bit of a curve, that should be an angular edge. But what I have done is where that fairing comes in from there, that goes straight up, which carries on that shape up there. So when we come to paint it, the idea of the paint scheme is this front section here is going to be carbon fibre exposed, then like another stripe going down there and another stripe going up there. So this section from here, that paint will carry on from there. So this will be a dark grey, and then this will be a light grey from there. So it's going to look really nice. That is going to be a different colour to that up there. Also, it's going to look lovely. And that is all for today's video. It has taken about 4 weeks in the making. I think that clay's taken probably near enough 40 hours to get to where it is now, and then probably another 40 hours before to get the whole fairing and everything done. So I mean, I guess at the moment, rough estimate, I've probably spent about close to 80 hours, if not more, on creating the shape of the Ducati Monster, but it's where the fun is. The other option I have is to actually create a 3D model and CNC it, which is an option given to me. I have got access to a CNC machine, but I wasn't sure of what kind of shape I wanted, and the more I kind of played with it, the more clarity I had in terms of what shape I liked. I know you can do that with 3D modelling, things like that, but I'm quite a tactile person, and I have been using 3D modelling software since about 2003, 2004. So I mean, it's definitely an option, but I'm quite a tactile person, so I like to play around with shapes and see how it goes. So next week's video hopefully will be the seat cowl. I'll see if I can get the seat cowl done today. I'm not expecting that to take half as long as the tank, because obviously the symmetry and everything like that is a lot easier on a seat cowl, because it's a smaller piece and you can stand behind it and see exactly how it works. And after the split mold, I might even introduce you to my new project, which is a Frankenstein bobber kind of beast. But that will be something I'll be doing once the Ducatis are waving powder coat or everything like that. That is something I can concentrate on that. So until next week's video, no, actually Monday, this coming Monday, we will be having a Ruroc helmet giveaway and a Ruroc helmet Atlas 2.0 review. And so tune into that if you want the opportunity to win a free helmet. Until next week, follow me on Instagram, some merch down below, and I'll see you next week.